But as entrepreneurs, we're builders. We build things, right? We're building a business. We're building an impact. We're building influence. We're building all these things. And what we do is we set this ceiling up for us, right? Some will call it a limiting belief. This is the goal, the goal, man, the goal out here. It's picking up like every third line I write. This is why it's really challenging. So it's the goal. This is the thing you're moving towards, right? When you start in your business, you're like down here and you're like trying to move up and chase that goal, the thing that you're driving towards, right? How many of you have like a really clear goal right now that you're working towards? You have a goal, raise your hand. If you don't, that's interesting. Think about it. If it's not clearly articulated right now of what I'm working towards, then you're a wandering generality. That's not my phrase. That's what it's called. You're a wandering generality because you do not have that goal that you're working towards, that you are focused on and intent, right? Dre talked about that. But what happens is when we make progress towards that goal, we hit this ceiling. It's like this invisible barrier that like all of a sudden you hit it and you're like, man, I am working so hard and I'm not seeing progress. Anyone ever felt that before? If you felt that, I'd love for you to type ceiling in the chat. So I just know, like, unless you guys all have, okay, ceiling, yeah. If you've ever hit a ceiling, what does it feel like when you hit a ceiling? Right? Well, you only have three options, in my opinion, when you hit a ceiling. Okay, because here's the thing that you'll learn in business is if you haven't learned this, I'm going to break some news to you. But those who've been in business a long time understand this. When you hit a ceiling and you break through it, you now realize there's now another ceiling, right? Because you're building a building. These are floors of, right? I love how I've read so many books and people are like, yeah, you break through the ceiling. And like, what's never in the book is that's now a new floor to a new room that has a new ceiling. Like that's never been in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, no one ever told me that. I broke through the ceiling. Oh my gosh, there's a floor, right? So let's talk about that. There's three ways. Number one, and you can write this down, work harder. That's a way. I don't think it's an effective way, but it's surely an approach that I see people do. They say, man, I hit this ceiling. And think about it. It makes sense logically to people. Like if this ceiling was, and I'm just going to use a metric. Let's say this was like 20 sales, right? Is my goal. That's my ceiling. I can't get past 20 goals. For a lot of people, what seems to make sense is if I worked at a certain level and a certain pace to hit 20, well, then just certainly if I worked a little bit harder, or I worked more hours, or I made a few more calls, sure, that's possible. But you're probably not going to get all the way up here because at a certain time, you only have so much time and energy and resources and money, and you're going to run out. Your capacity is going to be filled. Make sense? So working harder isn't always the answer, and it's probably not the answer, okay? Path two that I see people make, right? So number one was work harder. Path two is they chase opportunities, meaning this, I hit a goal. I hit a goal. I loved writing about this one, by the way. I hit a goal right in here, and then what I do is I now chase to a new building, right? Whatever that looks like. And that one's just built like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It has no foundation, right? But I chase a new opportunity. So this is what it looks like. I hit a ceiling and I go, you know what? This is really hard. I don't think the insurance industry is the right industry for me. You know, I've got a buddy he's in real estate and he's killing it. That, you know, I'm just in the wrong vehicle. Now, there's potential in that for sure. But when you start to see that as a habit and a trend for people, like you know the person I'm talking about, like every 2 years, they've got a new opportunity and it is the coolest thing ever, right? Because now they're optimistic and it's the coolest. It is the best way to make money. I joke about this because my kids, I have one of my kids who's always he literally will send me videos. And it's about 1 week, it's like, how to make 10K a week drop shipping from eBay. And then it's the next is like how to make 5K doing this. And I'm like, I get it. He's got that entrepreneurial, shiny object syndrome. He's got the entrepreneurial mindset, right? I get that. But you know what I'm talking about. This is the person that's chasing a new trend and a new opportunity all the time. By the way, if you don't know any friends like that, just let that sit for a second. If you don't have any friends that are chasing opportunities every 2 years, you don't know anybody like that, maybe, right? All joking aside, the problem with that, you also know people that do this in relationships too, right? They burn through relationships all the time. The challenge with that is, do you know what you take to the next opportunity? You are the common denominator in every one of those new opportunities. You're the common denominator in every new relationship, right? Totally, David. I know how many people who are always switching brokerages, right? Hey, announcement. And by the way, this is what I love. And I used to be in this industry, so I can joke about what Dave is talking about in the real estate industry. And then they make an announcement as if we care they moved to a new brokerage. Like, what does that have to do with me? But I'm going to like make all these announcements and I'm going to do all these commercials and I'm going to share all this. Who cares? Who cares? Okay. You made a decision because it's best for you and your business. Fine. But it's these people that are chasing opportunities all the time. Okay. So remember, what was number one? Work harder, right? Push and work harder. Okay. Number two, chasing new trends, chasing new opportunities. And now you're back at another, and you're going to hit a ceiling at some point. Number three is this. And this was really an eye-opening experience for me, and I hope that it will be for you. I read the book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy called 10X is Easier Than 2X. Anyone read that book? If you haven't read that book, I would highly encourage you to go get that book, okay? I had the opportunity to have dinner with him in Mexico for a couple of hours. Part of the conversation was this, and it's in that book. If you look at the drawing I have on the screen, the challenge is, this broke my paradigm and it hurt my brain. So I'm going to do my best to share this with you. But it made so much sense of why I struggle. And I thought I was hurting my head, my brain, because I was hitting my head at the ceiling. I kept hitting my head at the ceiling. That wasn't why. What he said to me was this. He said, Chaz, the ceiling is the goal. It's the purpose. It's the commitment. It's what you're driving towards. And that's what you focus on. He said, I want to give you a different visual. The problem is what we don't realize is as we get closer to the ceiling, to close the gap, you actually have to raise the floor. I was like, whoa, what? Wait, say that again. What does that mean? He's like, the floor is your commitments. The floor is the standard. Remember, the ceiling's the goal, but the floor, think of it visually. It's like a floor. It's the thing that you have as a standard. It's the goal. It's not the goal. It's the standard. It's the commitment to those standards. And if you want to break through the ceiling, you got to close that gap. You have to raise your floor, meaning you've got to raise your standards. You've got to raise your commitments. That's how you break through.